Hello, welcome back to the podcast slash YouTube channel. For those of you who are watching on video, if you are new, my name is Rennie. It has been a while. I am in a whole new season of life. I am starting fresh, and this video is really going to be about just entering a season of freedom and being unapologetically yourself. Because I feel like, at least from what I'm witnessing in my friend groups and in the environments and relationships around me, that a lot of us are stepping into this new season of life where we have been in and out of the depths, going through so much in silence and secret, and so much clarity, um, so much truth has come to light. I know, like, for me, in my life personally, I've been going through so much, but honestly, like, I am someone who's been going through a lot most of my life. Like, I am that person who has, like, always felt like I just couldn't catch a break and was just going through hard time after hard time, trauma after trauma. And I feel like I'm finally entering a season of peace, of freedom, of liberation, of like being authentically myself and really going after the things that I truly want. And that's because of the foundation that I set by really, really, really pouring into myself and healing and doing the hard work and doing the shadow work. And now I know that I'm entering into a season of life that is going to be filled with the things that I used to think, keywords, were impossible for me. And I know that that's the case for you and so many of you, and especially if you've come across this somehow, because I'm not someone with a big reach, but if you've come across this, odds are you're probably in the same boat where maybe you feel like you have just gone through so many seasons where it felt like your life was falling apart. I know that's been the case for me. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm someone who has been navigating a lot of complex trauma healing. I've been healing from a lot of childhood abuse, and I haven't really talked in great detail about a lot of the things that I've gone through. I have previous podcast episodes where I do talk about some of the things. I've experienced a lot of like death and a lot of loss early in life. But I haven't talked about some of the other forms of abuse that I feel like a lot of people in my community and especially like in my family even, like there's some things that we just don't talk about. And I just truly feel that this season of life called to share because I know that there's so many other people who struggle with these things. I am someone who went through all forms of abuse as a child, sexual, physical, verbal, emotional. Um, and I don't talk about these things because some of these things were repressed and suppressed for so long that I wasn't even able to fully process it myself. And over the past year or so, a lot of like really repressed memories have been surfacing for me, and I've been really, really diving into that trauma and how it's caused or wreaked havoc in my life, or how it's influenced my behaviors and my identity and my beliefs. And these are multiple traumas that I'm talking about, stemming as early as like when I was a toddler. And I'm someone who's been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, previously diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I've been diagnosed with so many different things. I've had providers tell me I'm autistic. I've had providers tell me I have BPD, bipolar, schizoaffective, um, all types of different things. And I'm now someone who has really leaned into decolonized healing modalities and practices. Even though I am still in therapy for the time being, I just have not resonated with the traditional Western models of healing. I am someone who has now leaned into more of my ancestral practices and spiritual practices. A lot of people have mixed feelings about that, but this has been deeply healing for me because my personal belief is that a lot of these wounds are soul deep. And a lot of the Western practices are really focused on how you function in the world within certain systems. So as long as you can get up and go to work, they think you're fine, right? And you could be miserable right? If because you're not living in your truth and you're not acknowledging the truth of who you are. And a lot of us are like really stuck in the old stories and the old beliefs that really are rooted in distorted versions of who we are, not the truth of who we are. And for me, I really have stopped really leaning into the labels of like BPD and all these disorders. For one, because I've had so many different labels just thrown my way. And at some point in my healing, it was helpful to kind of have at least some type of guideline or framework or something to cling on to help me make sense of the things that I was experiencing that I couldn't understand, especially when it came to like me disassociating or me having episodes or lashing out or having these behaviors that felt in my spirit like they were out of character for who I am. Like I knew, in my opinion, I felt like the way that I was behaving, especially in romantic relationships, particularly with men, because a lot of my trauma is connected to men and masculine energies. I was seeing that as someone else. You know, I used to say, because I was someone who was raised in a deep South in like a super religious environment, I used to say like I was possessed. I used to say that like, you know, this is this or this is that. And I feel like for a while, because of the BPD diagnosis, I really like kind of leaned into that and was just like, oh, this is because I'm disassociated and I'm having episodes. And I feel like over the past couple months, especially, some of my actions, I have really like, I feel like all the truth has kind of hit me all at once of how I've been like holding these things as a crutch. You know, I have reached a stage where I'm holding myself accountable for the harm that I've caused other people because of my pain, but that required me to be really honest about my pain. And I feel like a lot of those of us who have been diagnosed with like severe mental illnesses, and this is like beyond just anxiety and depression, this is like going into like those severe cluster B diagnoses, dark triad even, right? We are people who usually, for the most part, have experienced profound pain that, in my opinion, is like soul deep wounds. And I think requires more than just peels and requires more than just, in my opinion, again, these traditional Western methods that in really lack spirit to me personally. I think they can be really inhumane. Like for me, it was not helpful to be given all these different medications and then talking about and rehashing and reliving trauma for 50 minutes. And then when the timer is up, it's like, all right, see you next week or see you in 2 weeks. And, you know, we want you to still go to work and do all these things. It was like I was a shell of who I actually am. And now I feel like because I really dedicated myself to the deep spiritual healing work that needed to be done, because what I've come to realize is a lot of the wounds was attached to a lot of energetic cords and darkness that I needed to purge. I needed to like release. And I feel like this season, this summer especially, I've really been releasing those things. I really had things fully come to light. And I feel like I've received clarity that allows me to now like really release those things and not just release or acknowledge what happened to me and the pain that it's caused me, but like what it taught me or what it convinced me um I deserved or was worthy of, like all of the beliefs associated with those painful experiences. And I feel like I had been in the previous couple of episodes really, really talking about that, but now I feel like I have such a deeper understanding. I literally feel like I've had multiple deaths and rebirths in the past couple months, which sounds crazy and dramatic, but I'm serious. Like I feel like a whole, I don't know, like a light bulb just went off and everything that I feel like I've been running from, honestly, and avoiding, like those truths just smacked me in the face. Like, nope, this is what's actually happening with you. Okay. And it's deeper than just a label, it's deeper than just the things that you've heard from psychiatrists or therapists or even other people or, you know, past romantic partners or whatever. And so basically, in the past couple of months, I have decided to get divorced. I have moved into a new place and I live by myself. I have shifted my co-parenting schedule because I am a mommy, for those who don't know that. And I have decided to take like a whole new path in terms of like my purpose and career and what it is that I want to do in life. which I feel very called to do more like community building and using my voice because I'm someone traditionally skilled in public relations, media relations, communications. That's what I have my degree in. But using it to shed light on a lot of like the spiritual things that I feel like have really helped me heal wounds because I know for a fact that I've experienced some things that a lot of people don't come back from. And I've struggled a lot of with feeling like I can really connect with people, especially people that are quote unquote normal. I hate that word because like what even is normal? But like I've always been perceived as weird or odd or crazy. Especially when I was like going through these dark nights of the souls or these, when I was really deep into the trauma. And now I feel like I associate like parts of me that were having episodes and disassociated and like lashing out on people and just being fucking crazy, honestly, unhinged. It was me acting out of trauma and it was me acting out of pain that I wasn't addressing. Like I was ignoring it. And so it was coming out in other ways. And especially as it pertains to men, because a lot of my trauma is connected to men. So that's something I've like really had to come to terms with. And I know that there's so many people who can resonate with traumatic experiences involving men in particular, and how that has shaped your romantic relationships, how that's shaped like how you feel safe in your body and safe in the world. And I was so disconnected from my body and disconnected from the truth of who I am. Like I was really, really moving and living out of a place of fear without even realizing it. I think at some point I convinced myself that I was okay and I was confident. I'm a very blunt person. So I just thought I was fine. But I realized that no, there's a lot that I haven't fully addressed. And I've mentioned this in the past before, but like healing is like an onion. There's always more layers. You might think I'm good. I'm good. I've addressed this. I've talked about this, blah, blah, blah. But there's more to it. And there's way more to it than just talking about it. That's like the tip of the iceberg. So I've been in this season beyond just like actually sitting in it and processing not only like the experiences, like acknowledging them, acknowledging like what they taught me to believe about men, what they taught me to believe about myself, about my body, about the world, about my place in the world, about my purpose, about my worth, acknowledging like all the beliefs connected to the traumas and the pains, and then unlearning those because that's the hard part is like now I gotta create entire new narratives, entire new belief systems, and now I have to actually embody those new belief systems, which requires like a daily intentional practice and a lot of discipline, and it's really hard and it's really easy to slip back into that old programming and into those old patterns, especially when triggered. And I had to learn like I can't avoid triggers. I need to actually face them head on. And as they are coming up for me, this is an opportunity for me to shift out of the old way of being, out of my old former self that was rooted in trauma and pain, into this new version of myself that knows that I'm worthy of peace and knows that I'm worthy of feeling safe in my body and safe in the world, and knows that I'm worthy of actually having relationships that feel safe and make me feel seen and heard and are reciprocal. And previously, because of my trauma, to be honest, I was only in relationships where I was overgiving, where I was the one always expressing my emotions. The other person was just like completely emotionally shut off. Where I was the one that was like shouldering the financial burden a lot of times, where I was the one that was really trying to do the inner work and grow and become a better person, where I was the one that was like able to see the potential before it was actually a thing and like pushing people to grow. And like I feel like I'm a pusher. Like, if you ever seen Mean Girls, she's like, I'm a pusher, Katie. I'm a pusher. Like that's how I felt in all my romantic relationships. Like I'm the one pushing so hard. I'm the one that's being vulnerable, which isn't easy for me to do because in romantic dynamics, I previously was very like codependent because I had so many like abandonment wounds from childhood. But like also in every other aspect of life, I was avoidant, which can be really contradictory and might not make sense to people. But like when it came to like work environments, for example, or like friendships, like I was super avoidant. Like people would just not hear from me for months, or like I just always had a wall up and wouldn't really let people see the real me or get close to me. And so I just feel like I was like this big mystery to people because like I didn't really like I think I can come across really cold and guarded. And in romantic relationships, it was like the opposite. Like I was really pushing and being vulnerable and really trying to show my true self. And then I was being met with people who were more avoidant than I normally am in my day-to-day life and just like emotionally unavailable every time. It was like the typical anxious attachment, avoidant attachment type of dynamics. And I feel like once I really, really truly addressed my pain and how that really shaped my beliefs on a subconscious level, because like I genuinely had convinced myself consciously that I was fine, that I was confident, that I was doing my affirmations for so long, all these things, and I had to realize that like when it's deep, deep trauma, these things get stored deep in your psyche. Like I had trauma that I literally push the memories to the back of my brain. I couldn't see it. And there are still memories from childhood they're like I feel it in my body. I hear sounds, I feel things, I feel sensations, but I can't see it. And I'm someone who's very visual. I know that some people don't have visual thoughts. I have visual thoughts. My brain is like a movie. Can see everything in my mind. But I can't see those specific things. So like it was pushed so deep in my psyche. I've been thinking about exploring EMDR actually for that, but I digress. And it gets stored really deep in your body. So like somatic healing, and honestly, somatic healing practices are what really brought a lot of this shit to the surface for me. Acupuncture, massages, tapping, EFT tapping, and movement. I'm a dancer, so dance, and stretching, deep stretching, especially like deep in the hips or areas where we store like a lot of trauma. For me, it's the shoulders, neck, and hips. And sometimes even the back, but like doing more movement, really exploring those programming, those beliefs that were ingrained in me from those experiences subconsciously. Once I feel like it just clicked, which I've been doing this work of healing intentionally for like at least 5 years now. So this shit takes time. And excuse my language. I'm talking very candid nowadays, but once it just clicked, I realized that in almost, no, not almost, in all areas of my life, I'd been settling. I'd been acting out of fear, staying in work environments that do not feel aligned for me, do not fulfill me, staying in relationships that don't align and don't fulfill me, dealing with friendships or people that don't align, or avoiding opportunities to be in connections that do align. Like when I would meet people that they brought out that side of me naturally, like the soft, sweet, in my opinion, my true self. I feel like I would lose my mind, honestly. Like I feel like something would snap, especially if it was a man. Like I feel like I've only recently accepted that it's okay to feel safe with a man. Like, this is not scary. I don't have to lose my shit. I don't have to lash out or push people away because I'm scared of it because I've never experienced it, right? But even with like friendships with women, or femmes, or just community spaces that have made me feel safe and seen, I feel like at first I was unintentionally pushing people away or avoiding opportunities to prove to myself that I can have these things that I had been convinced so long that I couldn't have, right? And I know I said so much so far, but this is what I'm getting at. I feel like a lot of us are like at that point in life where it's kind of like, damn, I am so tired of like settling. I'm so tired of feeling like I've gotten the short end of the stick, whether it's in friendships, romantic relationships, career, whatever, right? And it's kind of like, you know what? Enough is enough. And I feel like this is happening not just personally, but collectively. I feel like August is really going to be an interesting month, to be honest, because I feel like people have really reached our breaking point, and it's a good thing. I know I have. Like I feel like this summer my life both fell apart and started to come together at the same time because I finally started to let go of all of this stuff that was holding me back from what I really want, who I truly am, and what I know now that I deserve. And for so long, I feel like I was trying to convince myself of it, but I wasn't fully like embodying or allowing myself to embody the version of myself that knows that I deserve better. And a lot of times we don't necessarily do this intentionally. We're not like self-sabotaging intentionally. It's like these beliefs are so deeply ingrained. This is actually why I'm someone who's like really big into like subliminals and like things that and somatic like stuff because I think that it's so much deeper than just the mind. And I feel like our very colonial capitalistic society just really pushes logic in the mind only. And as someone who has leaned more into like ancestral practices, and I have an African ancestry, so like the heart and the spirit is what my ancestors really leaned into, the heart, not the mind, right? And learning to be a heart-led, spirit-led, intuition-led person is counterintuitive to what you're socialized and conditioned to think because everything is about logic and everything making fucking sense. And I have struggled for so long in my life because I don't think I've ever really been like a fully logical person. I think I've always been heart-led, but then I've been forced to overanalyze and forced to lean into logic. And some things just don't make sense, especially the things that are truly meant for us on like a deep spiritual level. Like they won't make any sense. And I feel like I'm at that point in my life where like really crazy things are happening, where if I go out, I'm connecting with people that I know I'm supposed to be in connection with. I know I'm supposed to be in community with. I know I'm supposed to build something with. And it feels so counterintuitive because of the logic brain, the mind. And I feel like so much of healing is focused on the mind and how you think, and that's important, yes. But learning to trust your intuition and follow your heart and follow your spirit is so important, but it requires a lot of unlearning of these unconscious programs that have been established because of distortions and pain stemming from trauma and just painful experiences in general, right? That process is so ugly. And so at this point, at this point in my journey of life, I feel like I want to really start to offer guidance on how to do that on a deeper level because I feel like I can't really get too deep in it just talking about it on a podcast or on a YouTube video. I feel like I need to sit with people and like walk them through these things because I'm telling you, like, there are things that I've experienced and gone through that for most of my adult life as I've been healing, the only people I could relate to were literally people in the mental hospital. And yes, I'm someone who's been in the mental hospital multiple times. And I could only relate to homeless people on the street and people in the mental hospital because the quote unquote normal people or the people in corporate America or the people in the spaces I was in, it's like I mean, maybe it's because they didn't talk about it, right? But like, I couldn't talk about like the things that I experienced in my upbringing and felt like anyone understood or could relate to it or wouldn't like pity me and make me feel really uncomfortable by it. Like, I just felt like I could never talk about myself. And so I always felt like I was hiding because talking about myself when like I can't really share much about my upbringing without talking about all this fucked up shit. Like, that's just the truth. Um, and so I felt very isolated and alone in this. And I know that like a lot of the people who've gone through like early childhood abuse in particular or loss or have been like exposed to like severe violence and abuse, like a lot of those people in my experience have been people who've ended up in institutions, criminalized on the street, on drugs. It's it's painful to see and it's painful because I just felt like for so long I didn't have anyone to talk to about this. And I only recently started to realize how challenging and how rare it is to be able to go through the things that I don't talk about that I will start talking about more in depth because I feel like that's important. And get to a place where I really feel liberated because that's the season of life that I've entered into recently, where I genuinely feel like I can be myself and I don't give a fuck what people think about me anymore. I don't care how I'm perceived. And I know that I deserve more. I know that I am capable of building the life of my dreams and I'm going to do it. And I am actively doing it. And I know that I am more than worthy of having friendships and relationships that feel fulfilling for me. I would never have believed that even like a year ago, even a year ago. So I know it's really difficult for people who've been through profound pain to overcome their inner demons and get to that point. And I feel really called to create community and spaces for us to talk day to day about how we are healing through these things beyond just pills and talk therapy. And I'm not trying to, say that those things can't be helpful because that's literally how I started my healing, right? But I definitely think there are levels to this, and I want to share for those who do feel like they need something deeper, they need something that's more resonant with their soul. Um, it's important for us to be coming together in person and also to just have people that are there for us day to day. I feel like a lot of the modern culture in relationships, especially as an adult and especially in adult friendships, because we are so overworked and burnt out, is like catching up, but like not necessarily having people there for us in the darkness, like while you're actually in the depths of the darkness, you know? It feels super lonely, and I just know that's not how we were meant to I just don't think that that's how we're meant to live as humans. I think that for me, like my ancestors, when they speak through me, very much push the importance of community and community beyond just coming together when it's convenient and everyone's feeling good, but also during those hard times. And I feel like that's something we need to get back to. And so I want to create spaces where we can do that, where we can both like play, because play is so important. I am an inner, like I'm such a big child. Like I love to play play and like have those moments of joy and remember like those parts of us, like healing our inner child in that in those ways, but also having people to really sit with you while you're in the depths of like the deepest depression and when you feel like you literally can't go on. Like I think both of those things are important, and that's what I feel intuitively pushed to do at this time. And I feel like the reason why I'm talking about this and the reason why I'm sharing this update is because I feel like there's so many other people out there in the world who feel called to do this, but they're not. They're holding themselves back because I know I have been for so long. And now I'm like, no, I need to just do it, right? I need to just start doing stuff that I really want to do. And I feel like there are a lot of other people out there who they've been through things they don't talk about. They've been healing in private, doing all this deep inner work, and definitely also have felt called to like cultivate deeper connections, right? Like you're probably sick of surface level conversation. Like you do not give a crap, right? Like you're not interested in any type of like surface level, whatever people are talking about. Like if it's weather, video games, whatever, like who cares, right? If you're at that point, then it's you've been called to something greater. And I feel like the world is just waiting for you to step up and do it. And honestly, I hope that this serves as an invitation or confirmation or whatever you feel like you need to actually step into that direction. So, like, if you are someone who feels called to share your story, do that. Literally just do it. If you're someone who feels called to create spaces for people to just come and like connect on a deeper level, that's so healing. Do that, you know? And it doesn't have to be a big deal. Like me and my friends have been talking a lot about how we really just need to get back to like just popping into each other's homes. And obviously boundaries is important, but like we really need to normalize like coming together and just like these small hangouts and just really being honest about what's going on in our lives. And I know that there are people who do that, but I do feel like we we kind of have gotten to a culture where we don't do that as much, and I feel like a lot of people feel like they have to figure out all these things on their own and they don't want to burden people. And I feel like that's a shame because I don't think we were meant to go through these things alone. And I feel like so much of the mental health crisis that we see is because so many people feel like they have no one to really go to. And that the people in their lives that they do try to go to, they don't know how to hold space. They don't know how to like really comfort. And I don't think we have enough practice doing so, to be honest. I feel like this requires us to practice. And that's been coming up a lot for me because as I have tried to open up to people and be more vulnerable, I definitely have just not been met with love. I just have not been met with love. And I know now it's because most of us don't even know how to hold space for our own pain, let alone hold space for someone else's pain. Like, that's just the truth. Like, if someone is abandoning themselves, then they're going to abandon you. So I think those of us who are committed to doing the inner work, like it's important for us to create spaces for other people to feel safe because that is so healing. I know that like for me, just a lot of people tell me their life stories. It's been this way since I was a child. And it gives me so much joy to see people feel a sense of relief because someone actually just listened to them. Like that is like a lost skill. Like people don't know how to listen. And I didn't even realize like that this is like a rare thing. Yeah, like I didn't realize that just knowing how to be a good listener is a healing art, basically. Um, if you and then if that's you, right? Like if you're someone who maybe consider yourself an empath, and I know that word gets thrown around, but maybe you just feel like people always come to you, like maybe you're the therapist of the friend group, then you might be called to hold space in this way. You might be called to be a healer. And maybe that's not something you want to do, and that's fine. But I feel like if you are someone that's craving depth, then I just want to provide confirmation that that's needed. And honestly, I personally would love to connect with anyone who's feeling that way because right now I'm really just feeling called to build those connections and be a bridge for those of us who are trying to kind of figure out what it is we want to do. But we know that like this surface level, mundane, status quo shit is just not for us, right? If you're there, then I am actually going to be building some spaces and I will put together contact forms and ways to actually start to build this out because I want to see it happen. And I feel like right now with everything that's going on in the world, we need to be coming together. I don't think that this is a season any longer of just healing in silo, even though I understand how sacred and important those seasons of life are. Like going within and being introspective and being in hermit mode or being alone so that you can really process everything. But then I feel like from there, you have to get out. You have to connect with your people. You have to build community or find community. And I feel like that's how we are going to get through all of the shit that we are witnessing collectively in the world, in this country and globally, is by coming together, and especially those of us who have been on the forefronts of doing this inner deep shadow work, because some people are just now getting to that point, like people who are like twice my age, just now waking up to some things that they need to work on within themselves. So if you're someone who's already been doing that, and especially if you're a young person, first of all, if no one told you, congratulations, because you deserve to celebrate that. It's not easy, and it's a lot of people do not choose to ever change or truly heal or work through their shit so that they can be better people. It's not easy to do, and especially if you're someone who has caused harm because of your pain, like I have. Like holding yourself accountable and then deciding like I'm gonna be a better person. And not only am I gonna be a better person, but I'm gonna help other people heal so that they too can become better people. I think that this is how we create a better world. Like it starts with us and it sounds cliche, but it's true. So that's what I'm here to say is that life has been kicking me in the ass, but I've become better for it. I feel like even in the past month, I've like completely, like my mindset shifted tenfold. It's insane actually thinking about it. And I only have like a couple people in my life because I'm very hermit mode. I'm in the house. I am a homebody. I am not in the streets. Uh, so the few people in my life, I feel like we've been really reflecting on like how much is shifting right now for us personally and collectively. It's a lot. And it's time for us to come together. So let's do that. And so like if you somehow came across this and you're interested, please leave a comment or reach out however you can. I am on Instagram at just Riri Shop. And I am forcing myself to be active on Instagram and Threads again, even though I hate social media. But I know that social media can also be a tool for healing if it's used correctly. So that is the stage of life that I have entered into, and that's how I'm choosing to use it now, is with intention. Um, I am hoping more of us who are really doing the work can start to really like create rather than consume the stuff we see on social media. But anyway, I'm gonna stop yapping. I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you so much for listening up until now. Please check out some of my previous episodes. And exciting announcement before I go, me and my good friend are creating some really special things that is connected to what I was just talking about building community. really centered around collective liberation and ancestral healing and just cultivating a deeper understanding of ourselves spiritually, mentally, emotionally, all the things, right? That help us to really step into our true authenticity so that we can go after what we really want, live the lives that we really deserve, and build a better world together in community with one another. And I'm really excited to dive into this. There will be more information on this soon, and I will also be doing more joint content with the people that I am deciding to connect with and build community with. So it won't just be me solo dolo anymore. Um, and I feel like that is just like this is like a rite of passage for me because I've been like a loner for so long, and now I'm really leaning into community and like finding my soul tribe and finding my people, and I'm really excited. So please stay tuned. If you are new and you're just finding me, I'm hoping that the content game will be elevated, and that includes the tech. So I know like the videos aren't necessarily like the highest quality. I'm not a tech girly, but we're gonna get there. So thank you for listening, and until next time.